This is MTG Tournament Grinder, back again with another evening of Affinity. I've made just a few changes from last week. I took out my one of Antiquities War and replaced it with a second Karn, because Karn has just been doing a lot more work for me. Not only have I not been drawing the Antiquities War, but in my practice games when I do draw it, it's so predictable having been on the battlefield for 3 turns, that my opponents typically find a way to handle it, most notably with a cryptic command, choosing to tap my whole team as I enter combat on the big turn where Antiquities War goes off. The other major change is I took 2 Thoughtseizes from my sideboard, because I don't really see much combo these days at my LGS, and I brought in 2 Whip Flares, which are fantastic against elves, and still pretty good against humans, which I have been seeing a lot of. And having taken out a blue card from the main board, and added 2 red cards to the sideboard, I felt it was appropriate to replace my island with a mountain. And I think that's about all the changes I made to my deck. My round 1 opponent is playing Black-White Eldrazi Taxes. So the driving force of this deck are the 2 Taxes cards, Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, which makes non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast, and Leonin Arbiter. Players can't search their libraries unless they pay 2. And making your opponent's spells cost 1 more, while hindering their ability to fetch for the right color of mana, can really cripple a lot of decks. Alright, on to the Eldrazi side of things. They run Eldrazi Displacer, which they can use to flicker their opponent's blockers, or even flicker their own creatures for value. Also, Thought-Knot Seer allows them to exile a non-land card from their opponent's hand as early as turn 2 if you have the double Eldrazi Temple. Once you have a few cards in exile, you can use Wasteland Strangler, which puts a card an opponent controls from exile back into their graveyard, while giving something -3/-3 until end of turn. And you don't exclusively depend on Thought-Knot Seer for exiling things. You have a similar effect from Tidehollow Sculler, allows you to exile something from their hand, and also a playset of Path to Exile. So there's a lot of processing potential with the Wasteland Strangler in this deck. Now, one of the most versatile cards in this deck is actually Flicker Wisp. It exiles something until end of turn, so while that card is exiled, you could process it with Wasteland Strangler. You could also vial it in at instant speed, and there are some really cool interactions between Flicker Wisp and Tidehollow Sculler. Another creature in this deck that is a great target to flicker is Blade Splicer, because each time it enters the battlefield, you make a 3/3 Golem creature token that has first strike as long as you control Blade Splicer. And last but not least, we got the Dark Confidant for a little bit of card draw. Now, as far as the sideboard goes, what's good against Affinity is Stony Silence, obviously. That is 0 fun whatsoever. My deck also struggles with spot removal, so the 2 Fatal Pushes will probably be useful. And I think the last good card that I would bring in is Reality Smasher. It is just such a strong creature that if I can't handle it, it'll probably close the game all by itself. And with that, let's go ahead and jump into round 1. 4, 5. The most keepable so far. I'll keep. Scry to the bottom.
Start us off.
Boom, boom. Blam. Best turn.
Oh, but I have enough
Shambling Vents, let's see. Well, enter attack step.
Yep.
1. It looks like I'm getting punished for a risky 1-lander. I can't see my hand, so I'm not sure why I kept it, but it appears that it's happening to both of us. I prefer it was happening to neither of us. Gonna get this app open.
He's +1/+1, and I can
Smartphones.
after some symbols, tap
They're tricky. Untap, upkeep, land off the top. Enter attack step. 1.
18.
Second main phase. Second. I mean, if I could choose any one card to draw while mana screwed like this, Signal Pest is not a bad choice.
Your hand sucks too.
At least it's happening to both of us. I don't have Aether Vials. So I got there. Steel Overseer?
Sure.
Enter attack step? Steel Overseer with this board state is pretty sweet, if he doesn't have removal, of course. That's turn. 2 Aether Vials. That makes up for the land situation.
Pass turn.
Untap.
After you draw, I'm gonna hold forward.
Sure. Draw step.
I can
Yep.
seal to your hand.
Yeah. Yep, pretty obvious choice. Without that cranial plating, I'm really gonna depend on my Steel Overseer, or my top decks. Drop the Ornithopter. Enter attack step. Their attackers.
Yeah.
And so it's 3 more than last time. Should be 7.
Yeah. Go to 14 and 7.
Yep, and I'm just gonna distribute counters and pass. You're good to go. Yeah, with this weird mana situation that we're both having, I think the one activation off the Steel Overseer is probably going to be enough. This has been a weird game. Yeah, I kind of hate it when games go this way, when one or more of the players suffer really badly from mana situations. But hopefully it's a better game 2. Game 2 will go better. Keep 7.
He can be blocked by reaching power.
I'll keep.
I'll risk it for the biscuits. I'll keep 2.
Go for it.
Trade.
Draw step.
So 6, 9, 11. Down to 2.
That's turn.
Yeah.
Ratchet Bomb. Uh-oh. Ratchet Bomb is really interesting right here. I don't do a good job at showing the camera, I need to get better, but I have a second Signal Pest in hand that I was planning on playing, but now with Ratchet Bomb, I don't want to play really any more 1-drops to make the 1-drop slot too good of a target for the Ratchet Bomb. I also have good 2-drops in my hand, so I'm not even sure what I want him to blow it up on. Ratchet Bomb feels impressively flexible at this moment. I will ping, make an island. Gluttonous Crane? When in doubt, Crane. Feel an artifact from both of them. Rest going to the bottom. That's my reveal. Move to combat.
Yep.
1.
19 on.
Yep. Pass turn. Yep.
Go ahead and pop this.
On 1?
Yeah.
Seems a little early, but, oh, that makes more sense. So he wants to pop it on 1 before he plays his 1-drop artifact. Nice. Cranial plating.
Sure.
Move to combat. 1.
18.
Pass turn.
Spirit Elaborate. Hey, you like Spirit Elaborate? You're going to next year. Yeah, it's great. You want to have 4 voices, right? That just works so well. Oh, that's
Yikes, another Ratchet Bomb. And at this point I'm pretty invested in my 2-drop slot. Oh boy. Mox.
Sure.
1 and a red. I will tear the Aether Vial, or I guess wear the Aether Vial. Alright, this is a big moment in this game. He's having mana problems, again, similar to game 1. Aether Vial is going to help him out big time in that regard, so it seems right for me to pop it, although he could have a Stony Silence because this is post-sideboard, and that is my anti-Stony Silence card. So if he plays a Stony Silence at any point after this, I'm going to feel like that was wrong. But we'll see what happens. Equip.
Sure.
1, 2, 3 artifacts. So 4.
Pop this now.
On 0?
So.
Okay, well that's pretty interesting. I had convinced myself that he was going to blow it up on 2, so I didn't even consider that as a possibility. Feels pretty bad. I didn't consider that line.
Go for it.
Tap, upkeep, draw step.
Sure.
Combat. 3.
13.
Best strike.
I'll go to 11.
Yep. Well, Eldrazi Displacer is super good against me, although the only creature I have to blink has a sweet ETB trigger. So that's kind of another win for Crane.
We're waiting for one last player, but she'll make it easy for us.
Sweet.
Activate.
Sure.
3 artifacts. 6 on a 1/1. 7.
6, 7, go to 4.
Got last face.
Sure, that's fine.
Man, I hate games that go that way with the
I
mana
was like, I really
screw.
hope you don't try to kill the dude. Like, you got
I have to say, that math added up pretty cleanly. It sucks when your opponent is getting mana screwed, because I know how bad that feels. But, on to match 2.